human resource decision. Singapore Manforce Management.
Singapore is sovereign island city stated in maritime Southeast Asia. The total population of Singapore is 57,70,040 as of 2020. It has the second greatest population density in the world. GDP is 379.071 billion SGD as of nominal 2021. GDP per capita is 64,217 SGD as of nominal. Labor force occupation is for agriculture 0.7%, for industry 25.6%, for service 73.7%. Unemployment rate is 2.6%. The average cost of living in Singapore is high. The average expenses for a single person is around 800 SGD or 575 USD per month. To start a business in Singapore, business owner have to register with the Accounting and Corporate Regulatory Authority. It is the national regulatory and company register of business entity, accounting and service provider in Singapore. Employers are strongly advised to adopt progressive and fair HR practices, especially in matter relating to recruitment policies. Employers are strongly advised to adopt progressive and fair HR practices, especially in matter relating to recruitment of talent. In this regard, the Ministry of Manpower has issued certain guidelines for fair employment practices. The recruiter should analyze the candidate which country they are from. For applying visa, the candidate should have an offer letter from company side. Then the recruiter should see the culture, country, skill and experience of candidate while recruitment. Employers are advised to follow a meritocracy while recruiting and selecting candidates for appointment. Employers are advised to follow a system of meritocracy while selecting and recruiting candidates for employment. Employees that are covered under Employment Act are entitled to work no more than 44 hours per week. Singapore Ministry of Manpower has law regarding hours of work and condition for working overtime.
Compensation policy in Singapore. Singapore compensation policy. Singapore compensation law stimulates the employee must be paid at least once a month and also within 7 days of the end of the period. Whenever an employee earns overtime pay, company must pay them within 14 days of stipulated salary period. Next, who are all eligible for Employment Act? Employment Act means a contract between employer and employee. Employment Act have certain limits. Singapore Employment Act does not apply for all the employees. It applies only to the employees who are managerial and executive positions, domestic workers, seamen, and most of the government staffs are not eligible for Employment Act. Employee earning below $2,600 per month are provided with additional protection. concerning rest days, work from home, public holidays, annual leave, sick leave, and retrenchment benefits. Employment benefits in Singapore might include maternity leave, incentives and bonus, relocation assistance, retirement fund contribution, housing allowance, allowance for children education, healthcare benefits. Next, WIC, work injury compensation. Work injury compensation provided by Ministry of Manpower. In manufacturing industry, need to get work injury compensation insurance for all the employees. Doing manual work as well as employee earning $2,600 or less than a month, excluding any overtime payment, bonus payment, annual wages supplement, productivity incentive payment, and any allowance. Both local and foreign employees must have work injury compensation insurance. Next, E-Pass and S-Pass. Until August 2008, there is only one employment pass. After that, employment pass can be divided into two pass. One is EP, another one is S-Pass. Undergraduate, postgraduate who are going to work in MNCs are coming under the category of EP. Who studied 10th, 12th diploma or going to work as a labor in a construction or a hotel is come under the S-Pass. Terminating employees in Singapore. An employer or employee who wish to end employment relationship may do by terminating the employment contract. Any termination must follow terms and conditions that are spelled out in the employment contract. Employment contract can be terminated either by the employer or employee by giving a notice or salary in the lieu of notice. Without giving notice nor salary in the lieu of notice, in certain cases, employment contract comes natural termination and notice periods are not applicable. Employer-initiated termination consists of unsatisfactory probation, breach of contract by employee relationship may do by terminating the employment contract. Any termination must follow terms and conditions that are spelled out in the employment contract. Employment contract can be terminated either by the employer or employee by giving a notice or salary in the lieu of notice. Without giving notice nor salary in the lieu of notice, in certain cases, employment contract comes natural termination and notice periods are not applicable. Employer-initiated termination consists of unsatisfactory probation, breach of contract by employee.
Hello, I'm Pooja and I'm here to talk about the requirements and processes that are followed by companies in Singapore. Starting up a company does not just end up by giving it a company name and paying registration fees. It involves plenty of paperwork, even in a country as business friendly as Singapore. Like many other companies, you must comply on Companies Act and other statutory requirements, which helps you to avoid penalties and legal repercussions. This also ensures a good corporate governance for your business entity. First, you have to determine the accounting period or financial year end. That does not want to be the exact year end, that is 31st of December, but you can do it like many other companies, like the end of each quarter of an year, that is 31st March or 30th June or September 30th or 31st of December. After incorporation, your company must appoint an auditor within 3 months. In Singapore, each citizens have a unique NRIC number. Like that, your entity must contain a unique entity number, which is a standard identification number for the entities in Singapore. What does an unique entity number do? Like if you want to incorporate your taxes or to apply any permits for your entity, it helps you to interact with the government agencies without any inconvenience. So next, companies in Singapore must maintain the latest business particulars. Like if your company decides to change its business activity or its business address or its business owner, it must update the accounting and company regulatory authority within 14 days. After incorporation of your company must have a registered office address to which all the communication and notices may be addressed. So your company must be accessible to the public for at least 3 hours of a business hours a day. So if you fail to open your business for at least 3 hours a day, it is considered to be an offense. So all companies in Singapore are taxed on the income earned in the preceding year of a financial year. This means the income earned in the financial year 2019 will be taxed on 2020. For now, the corporate income is charged on companies is 17%. So next, you have to prepare employees tax forms. So as an employer, you are required by the law to prepare employees tax form for each year. So then your employer will file their taxes based on the information that you have provided on their forms. So next, goods and service tax are tax that are charged on imports of services as well as supplies of goods and services in Singapore. For now, the rate of GST is 7%. So if your company's annual turnover exceeds or likely to exceed 1 million Singapore dollars, you are required to register your company under GST. You can also choose to register for GST voluntarily if Inland Revenue Authority of Singapore approves your company. So next, the Central Provident Fund is a compulsory pension fund scheme in which the company and the company's employees are required to contribute a small amount of their monthly salary to the fund. The Central Provident Fund contribution is mandatory for all the citizens in Singapore, whether Singapore citizens or Singapore permanent residents, earning more than 50 Singapore dollars a month. Like other companies, you are required to hold an annual general meeting every year. So an annual general meeting is a way for the company to present its financial statements and accounts to its shareholders. So by this way, your shareholders can know the financial health of their business. Finally, you are required to submit annual returns. All Singapore incorporated company must submit their annual returns to Accounting and Corporate Regulatory Authority. You have to include information such as company details, shares and financial statements, and date of annual general meeting. You are not required to file the financial statement with Accounting and Corporate Regulatory Authority if you own a sole proprietorship or a limited partnership.
Employee guidance and policies. The Singapore Employment Act does not apply to all employees. Instead, it applies only to employees that defined under the Act. The Employment Act does not apply to managerial position, domestic workers, seamen, and most of the government staff. Many organizations in Singapore are involved in development and promotion of standards. Training and development. In service industry, employees are advised to follow a system while selecting and recruiting candidates. And in manufacturing industry, employees often work in a dangerous environment and use hazardous material. So for them, training is a basic safety guidelines. The stages involved in training are process training, compliance training, and GMP training. Manpower policy. They work closely with sector agency and industry to develop and implement manpower plan within industry transformation maps. They monitor sectoral labor market trends through quantitative data analysis as well as with business and industry. And in manpower policy, manufacturing industry has a valid factory notification or registration and operates in a designated industrial setting area. And for food processing industry, they must have a valid Singapore Food Agency license to operate a food processing industry. In e-commerce industry, things like employee manual, company expectations, missionary training and more. They give training about how to networking with people. And in internet connection in Singapore is considered as the broadcast. It falls under the Singapore Broadcasting Authority Act. Employment in Singapore. The employment in Singapore, including the development and planning of Singapore workforce to achieve globally competitive workplace in a sustainable manner. It is managed under the jurisdiction of Ministry of Manpower, Singapore. Other aspects of employee related functions as international talent promotion, labor relation, management of foreign manpower, labor welfare and services are also covered by the ministry. Basic terms and conditions of employees relationship in Singapore by the law are covered under the Employment Act. All of them, both Singaporeans and foreigners who enter into the contract of services, are covered by the Act. There are some exceptions for managers and executives who are not covered by Part 4, which provides rest days, hours of work and other conditions of services. For managers and executive, these conditions vary according to their individual employment contract. In Singapore, Workrite conducts annual education campaign through media publicity and on-ground roadshows in heartlands. Workrite inspectors also visit workplace to ensure employers comply with the employment laws.
Singapore employment benefit policies. First, globalization. Globalization is Singapore economy is the globalization economy in the world. Singapore holds second rank as a globalization economy in the world. Singapore economy rate is high, so the employment opportunity is high. Low unemployment opportunities. Low unemployment opportunities like business developing peoples are high. Many foreign companies come to invest in Singapore. So Singapore economy is better. So salaries are extremely high. Singapore economy is booming. So Singapore company gives overseas exports give lot of skill opportunities like high income tax benefit. In Singapore, income tax benefits is very easy. Singapore government introduced new system called GILO system is followed. GILO system means monthly employers can pay the tax in government. Progress of non-resident of Singapore can pay only 50% of his salary to the government tax. Compared to other countries, 30% of tax paid. Low crime rate and zero corruptions are in Singapore. Singapore is a multiculturalism country. Time difference of Singapore compared to India is 2.5 hours. It is a main reason and employment benefits for the following conditions. Employment benefits like sick leave, annual leave, healthcare benefits, retirement, provident fund, housing allowances, food allowances, traveling allowances, and lot of employment benefit policies are given by Singapore government.
Singapore Act does not apply for all employees. Instead, it applies only for employees that are defined under the Act. Especially, Employment Act does not apply to managerial and executive position, domestic workers, seamen, government staffs, employees earning SGD 2600 per month. Cisco System, Singapore. 93% people say it is a great place to work. Cisco System Inc. is the worldwide leader in networking for the internet. The company was founded in 1948 by two scientists. Networking Foundation for Service Providers. Medium and large scale industry. Company size 800 employees. Employees experience at Cisco Systems Singapore. 93% of the employees says it is the best place to work. 100% physically safe to work. 98% of people here are treated fairly regardless of their sex. People celebrate special events here are marked 98%. When it comes to pride and self-esteem, people were given 98%.